You guys had asked me about holidays and whether or not I had any traditions or anything like that. And I really don't. I'm not really good at the holiday thing. For the last few years, I've just tried to do some non-traditional things. My children have gotten older and it's mostly just the three of us. And so, you know, we did things like, let's see, 2 years ago, I took the kids to Vegas for Christmas. Just flew there to see the Blue Man Group, and we saw that on Christmas Eve, which was absolutely awesome. It was a great time. Last year was the first year my son wasn't home for Christmas, so we spent Christmas in Charlotte, North Carolina with him. But as for holidays, no, I don't really have any traditions. I'm not good at the whole decorating thing. This year I'm actually making an effort. As you saw, I went out and bought a wreath, and I'm actually going to put up the tree and things like that, which is kind of rare for me. Holidays in general, I'll tell you, I stunk as the Tooth Fairy. That was probably the hardest phase of parenthood for me. There's nothing like your children waking up with this horrible look of disappointment on their face, and they're like, the Tooth Fairy didn't come. And I'm like, are you serious? That crazy woman? I will get a hold of her and I will deal with this. Give me that tooth. I said, I'll go ahead and give you the cash up front and I'll get the money out of her myself. I just was terrible at stuff like that. Easter, for some reason, was the one holiday when the kids were little that I was actually kind of good at. I would always get them big Easter baskets full of things that they would need for the change of season. Things like water guns and sunglasses and just, you know, fun stuff because it was getting warm and they could play outside. Valentine's Day. I never missed a Valentine's Day. I might have stunk as the Tooth Fairy, but Valentine's Day, my children always woke up with a box of chocolates by their bed. Holiday thing, I don't know. It just never gelled with me. Reminds me of a funny story though. When I was married, which, oh my gosh, has been almost 12 years ago, but I was married for 6 years. My husband did not really celebrate holidays. You know, birthdays and Mother's Day and Christmas and New Year's, and he just wasn't really into it. On Mother's Day, for example, he would say to me, you're not my mother. He was just kind of one of those that just didn't do holidays. So I went on a mission. And boy, when I go on a mission, I really kind of overdo it. I decided for an entire year that I was going to teach him the joy of holidays so that he could experience it for himself and see how much fun it was and how great it was. And that experience would probably, most likely, hopefully, make him want to do the same for other people in his life, right? I started at the very beginning of the calendar year, right in January, and celebrated every single thing on the calendar for an entire year. It was little things even. I picked up his favorite lunch, which was fajitas, and I took it to him at work. He couldn't get away for lunch that day, so I'm like, I'm not gonna let this deter me. Like I said, when I get on a mission, forget it. So I took him lunch, big sizzling fajitas, and we're eating lunch together, and his coworker looks over and he's like, is it your birthday or something? And I said, didn't you know? It's President's Day. And he was just kind of like, all right. And I don't think my husband really got it. Didn't really click with him. But we had lunch. That was all fine and great. You know, and just every holiday, I just really kind of did it up and really tried to make it special for him. I thought this is a good alternative to nagging because that never works. That particular year happened to be his 30th birthday. So I threw this huge surprise birthday party. And oh my gosh, let me tell you, don't ever try to throw a surprise party for somebody you live with. It turned out great. Once I finally got him there, he was late to his own birthday party, but I don't even want to get into that story. We have this humongous cake, we've got this big banner, everybody we know, there's just tons of people. It was a really great turnout. It was a beautiful surprise birthday party, and boy was he ever surprised. Long story short, I spent the entire year celebrating every little thing, like to the max. And I mean everything on the calendar. I just devoted this entire year to not saying a word about anything in return, but just giving so that he could really understand the power of holidays. At the end of the year, Christmas came and it was the usual, you know, whatever. And New Year's Eve, and boom, it was a new year. What a relief, because that was hard work. So the new year, you know, comes. It's January. There's nothing really big in January. It's February, Valentine's Day kind of comes and goes. Easter comes and goes. And then on Mother's Day that year, we're talking, you know, almost 5 months after the end of my whole calendar year craziness. Mother's Day that year, he got me a card. I was in shock. I was in tears. Look, I mean, it finally set in. It worked. I opened my card and I read it. And it says, 364 days a year, you work, you take care of our kids, you do the dishes, you cook the meals, you blah, 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 blah. It just lists out all this stuff that women do. I'm like, oh, I'm feeling so appreciated. And I opened it up and my heart just like fell into my stomach. Because when I opened it up, it said, so one more day won't hurt you. Yeah, that was the end of holidays in my marriage. Oh well, fast forward to the future. I'm not really big on most of them, but the one holiday that I really do up and really get excited about and look forward to is Valentine's Day. And that might sound crazy for a woman who's been single for over 11 years, but I love Valentine's Day. I take off work, like I said, I always leave chocolates by the kids' beds. I get my favorite takeout, I get a great book, I get all my favorite movies, I get a big box of Whitman's chocolates, I get in the middle of my bed with all this stuff, and I just watch movies and eat junk and read books and nap and enjoy the entire day. I think Valentine's Day is just a day to celebrate love. Whether that be loving yourself for who you are and what you've accomplished in your life, so be it. I don't think it's, a singles awareness day or whatever. I think that's probably my absolute favorite holiday of all. Sadly, for anyone I happen to be dating in February, I don't spend it with someone else. When Valentine's Day comes around, I'm like, day off. Today is my day. I love Valentine's Day. Anyway, it's almost Christmas and I have decided to decorate this year. I am pushing myself forward into the whole holiday thing, and so we'll see how that goes. So what about you? I would love to hear, what is your favorite holiday and why? And what's some of your favorite holiday traditions any time of the year? Not just Christmas, not just the big ones, but what's your absolute favorite holiday? Maybe it's Groundhog Day. I want to know.